Welcome everyone, my name is Basileus and this is the first episode of a new series that I plan to make, which will be focused on around how exactly Battlefield 1 managed to deliver jaw-dropping visuals back in 2016 while also running so greatly. And by the end of this series, my intention is to also make a comparison to modern gaming and how modern games, despite having machines that are like 2 or 3 times more capable, still do not match the visual fidelity and great performance of Battlefield 1. So to start off, I'm sure you pretty much all know the answer. How Battlefield 1 used photogrammetry to redefine realism. The answer is photogrammetry, I'm sure you all know that. So back in 2016, Battlefield 1 didn't just look good, it looked real. To this day, nearly a decade later, players still ask, how did DICE manage to make a World War I shooter look this incredibly lifelike? The secret is a technique borrowed straight from archaeology and film production: photogrammetry. Now, as I said, I expect that most of you know what this is by now, but for those of you who don't, perhaps new gamers or younger members of the audience, let's explain in really fast what photogrammetry is. Photogrammetry is the process of turning photographs into 3D objects. You take hundreds of pictures of a rock, of a tree stump, or a wall, or even an entire trench from every angle. A specialized software reconstructs a detailed 3D model. So back in 2016, almost no mainstream FPS used this technique at scale. And by saying almost, frankly speaking, it's just me being conservative because I don't think anyone else actually did it. But DICE did something bold. They didn't just scan props, they scanned entire environments. In other words, they didn't scan fake items to put into their game. They scanned the real deal. And this brings me to the next part. DICE's field trips. If you remember, back when the BF Battlefield 1 was still under development, DICE actually told us about how it sent its artists and technical directors into deserts, into forests, into ruins, into preserved battlefields in order to capture the real essence of World War I. During these trips, every rock, every muddy slope, every sandbank, everything was scanned. All of it stored in a massive internal library of real-world assets. The result? Not handmade interpretations of history, but digital replicas of real places and real assets. But just to be completely fair, photogrammetry is just one part of why Battlefield 1 looked so real. In my view, Battlefield 1 looked so real because of 3 main advantages compared to the competition. The first one, as we said, is photogrammetry. So why does photogrammetry look better than artist rendered assets? The magic of photogrammetry isn't perfection, it's imperfection. And by that I mean that nature contains tiny variations in shape, in color, in reflectivity that no artist can fake by hand. If you notice when you're playing video games, more often than not, you may see textures that are exactly the same one after the other, or really close together. This is just artists putting textures next to each other. So this is perfection, let's say. The same texture over and over and over again, the same perfect texture, but photogrammetry because of those tiny variations that real life has, captured those micro details directly from reality. And that is why, at the end of the day, the trenches in Battlefield 1 look so rough and so uneven, why the rocks feel so heavy and so layered, and why the game's lighting interacts with the environment in a way that feels almost photographic. And that brings me to the second pillar, to the second advantage that Battlefield 1 enjoyed compared to its competitors: the art direction factor. Because realism, at the end of the day, is not just about high-resolution scans, neither it is about high-resolution artist-rendered textures. BF1's visual identity uses muted colors, heavy contrast, deep shadows, and filmic tone mapping. This cohesive art direction enhances the realism of those scanned assets. It's not only accurate, it's also beautiful. And last but not least, let's not forget the Frostbite advantage. Yes, Frostbite may have gotten a little bit of a bad reputation after 2042, and developers saying that it's an old engine, it has become really heavy, and it's really difficult to work on without knowing it. But back in 2016, the people who developed Frostbite were still in the company, and they were able to use the engine to its fullest. So DICE's Frostbite engine also made photogrammetry shine in a way that perhaps other game engines could not. In 2016, Frostbite relied heavily on baked lighting, meaning the GI was pre-calculated. What does that mean? It means that static lighting plus high detail scanned assets plus great artistic direction equals a perfect match. And this is what let Battlefield 1 at the end of the day run extremely well while maintaining jaw-dropping visuals. That's how Battlefield 1, a game from 2016, still outperforms in our Shines games released nearly a decade later. Not with tricks, but with reality itself. Actually, they did use a few tricks, which I will detail in the next episode of this series, but they mostly did it with reality itself, captured and brought into Frostbite with astonishing fidelity. So these are the main three factors that let Battlefield 1 look so good while also running so smoothly. In the next episode, we'll dive deeper on how exactly did DICE turn thousands of photographs into finished game-ready assets, what tools did they use, and how did they optimize huge photogrammetry meshes for consoles. Until next time, my name is Basileus. If you like this kind of content, please consider liking and subscribing. It helps immensely. It also sends me the message that you're really interested in this. And I'll see you next time. Thank you for being here. Bye-bye.